Well, good afternoon, folks, and welcome along to the reaction show as Rangers were comfortable winners in a 3-0 win over Dundee. I will be your host this evening. I am Alex, obviously joined by Kenny and the poor internet. Kenny, how are you, mate?
Listen, I apologise now if I start sounding like a Dalek because the boys are in. It's a Sunday. They're firing through the terabytes up the stairs. So apologies if I start shaking all over the place.
Oh, listen, it should be. We'll manage, mate. We'll manage. We'll fire through it. But and I did say afternoon, but it is evening. So obviously a very, very comfortable win after a midweek there. Kenny Rangers obviously beat 2-0 against Roma, but looked like they shook off a bit of the cobwebs in the first 15 minutes of the game today.
The second half of Roma, when he tactically changed it to a 4 at the back, it nullified Roma slightly as well. There was a big difference in it. So I kind of had hopes today, and I actually sent a message to my cousin saying, he said, "What do you think today?" It's a bit of a lot, and I said, "a 3-0 win to Rangers." So I was glad when Gassama put that ball in the tap bag just at the end. So, listen, it was all good the first half. Second half annoyed me because what's the point in no going for the jugular when you've got a team in the first half, mate? Dundee weren't even there. It was just like a stroke, like a bounce game or something like that, unfortunately. And it was not a disrespect to Dundee, and that. It's just the fact that we played so well. But then the second half, I don't know what he was doing. It just went flat, didn't it? Just went flat.
It looked that way though, Ken. The Rangers just, I think that they decided to take the foot off the gas in the second half, go and protect the 3 points with a 2-goal lead, and kind of allowed Dundee back into the game. I think that there has to be questions asked about the triple substitution from Danny Rohl because it didn't really work, did it?
So it's very, very convenient that what he done. We experienced this with my wee team on Saturday. We changed what we were thinking. We thought, right, what we'll do is we'll give the team a lot longer on the first half, the starting 11, to let them relax, to get them into the game, and then in the second half kept the same starting 11 on for about 10 minutes just to see how it would go. We ended up at 4-0. And that was exactly the same as Danny Rohl. I thought he should just kept it the way it was. Kept it exactly the way it was. Kept the same team and just see if we could get up a maybe 2, 3, maybe even 4, whatever it was going to be, because it was definitely a better team. I didn't understand the subs, mate. I didn't understand why and where. Chermiti, for me, runs about quite a lot. There was a couple of instances, one he took in his chest, it was like schoolboy stuff, missed it. But there was a corner come in and Raskin was in the middle of the box to go for a header and our number 9's in the back post. And I was like, I can't get used to the guy. I'm not slagging him, he's a football player. I'm sitting in the house, you know what I mean? I'm not a millionaire or anything like that, you know what I mean? I'm not a great elite football player, but all I'm trying to say is I would want a hell of a lot more of him. And it's just every single passing game I'm starting to say, listen, there's not much happening here. I don't know if you agree with that or not.
No, I think that the best that we've seen from Chermiti was the fact that he was on for only a couple of minutes and he put in 2 crunching tackles. And I thought, all right, it's Chermiti's job today is just to put in a few snaps. But as Ian Thompson's saying that he agrees that they just showed no competitiveness at all in that first half. Dundee just didn't look like they were up for it. The first maybe 2 or 3 minutes, for me, Dundee were actually in our faces. They were looking lively. They had a few corners, and Rangers looked like they were dealing with it very, very well. But all of a sudden, Raskin wins the ball, puts it out for a corner, and one of the smallest players in the park, Kenny, absolutely leaps unmarked, and John McCracken's nowhere near it.
He's got a leap in him, the boy, hasn't he? So at the season, he was terrific last season at the certain parts. He was really, really. I mean, he's one of the weeest guys on the park, and he can probably leap better than most. Yeah, I think again the first half it was great football, 1 touch, 2 touch, getting into the box, and yeah, the wee man found the space and put the ball in the net. Again, I'm just going to put it out there, right? I'm just hoping this needs to slow down with players. Chermiti with this You know, got to remember one thing, boys. You know, we've been through a lot of supporters, so we love your asking. But, you know, you can't be doing things like that. I'd like to hear a wee explanation of somebody in the comments, his thoughts on that, in case I'm getting this wrong. But that seemed as if it was aimed across to us to just calm down. I'll get there. If he's, I mean, he was in the same team as Tierney. It didn't get it. So just go on about your business and set yourself up and score your goal and enjoy it and maybe go away and celebrate it, if that makes sense.
I do think that there is something in that, because obviously we've had it from Chimiti already, and he scored one goal and he's done nothing since. Nico's obviously come under a lot of criticism as of late because the fact he's not played the greatest. To get the goal was a good goal and obviously set Rangers up for the win today. But the second goal, Kenny, was just a sublime wee finish from Mikey Moore. Great to see him get his first Rangers goal, but for me, I think this was the best performance we've seen out of Mikey Moore today.
And it was very fit, and I think it was in the Rabble chat, Alex, wasn't it? Somebody put up the wee post with him saying in an interview earlier that he's glad his game's coming on a wee bit, but he really needs to get his finger out and get some goals to add to that, and that's what he's going to work on. And he potentially but he took his goal very, very well.
Well, we have got the interview that Mikey Moore and Nico Raskin did after the game, so let's go and hear what they had to say.
Yeah, I'm a bit relieved, to be honest, to finally get on the score sheet and just keep the momentum going and keep winning. So need to keep carrying on now.
Talk us through the goal then.
Yeah, it just fell, and as soon as it came, I just thought I'm going to shoot because I need to score. So I was buzzing when it went in.
Is there a feeling of maybe trying too hard at times, given you said there was a bit of pressure on you to get that goal? Yeah, I think when you ain't scored in a while, you're thinking about it when you get in front of goal. But once you start scoring, I think they come, and so I'm buzzing. I scored. When that other one went in, I did see you thinking that maybe it was off, but you were actually on. It was Diomande. How frustrating, and how was the roller coaster of emotions there? Yeah, I think as soon as I scored, I was thinking something could have went on because there was a few phases of play. So, but it's frustrating. But one's enough for now. Nico, how good a feeling is that today in terms of that's 3 wins in a row in the league now?
Yeah, it's great. We can build something on that, so it's good. We look forward to the next game, and hopefully we can keep going.
What is it now that you have that kind of platform to build on?
Well, we just had 3 wins in a row in the league, so it's just having to try to keep going and keep doing the same stuff and scoring goals, not conceding, trying to win games, and looking forward.
Were you surprised you got that much space for your goal, given that you've scored headers like that many times?
Yes and no, because we've got some guy that can head the ball very well in the team, so they can't pick us all. So they made a choice, and today was a perfect delivery from Tav, and I just had to put it in.
In terms of the manager, what's he done for you and the rest of the team to get you now playing the way you are?
Just give us some confidence, some freedom to play, go and enjoy. It's not been perfect every time, but look, we're trying to work hard as a team and trying to look forward, taking game by game, trying to improve. And I think we're going in the right direction. We just need to keep believing in what the gaffer's giving us and keep focusing on our task, and then it'll be good.
You said enjoy. Is that something that you're feeling now as well? You've been able to concentrate more on the football, what's going on the field?
Yeah, obviously when you win games you enjoy more. That's a fact. And for the rest, personally I've been trying to get my form back, trying to find some way to perform after a very difficult period mentally, especially. But listen, it's all about the team. We've just won 3 in a row in the league, so we have to keep going and take game by game, trying to win as much as we can.
Mikey, from your point of view, where do you feel there's development in you and this team?
Yeah, I think since the manager's come in, I've shown a bit more what I could do, and I think I've been given a bit more freedom. So the whole team's building, and we just need to keep it going and try pick up some more wins.
Well done on that today. You are the William Hill Premiership Player of the Match.
Thank you.
Great to see Mikey getting Player of the Match, because he did have a great game. A couple of comments here I want to take, Kenny. So, first one here from Geordie saying that the phase of play bollocks has to stop. It's ruining the game. Imagine not being able to celebrate because you don't know if something's happened. That has nothing to do with you. Obviously, talking about the third goal from Mikey Moore. just a bit poor in it. The fact that they took so long. I think it was 4 minutes we took to decide that Diamandi had interfered with the line of sight of the goalkeeper. Didn't touch him, but he was in an offside position. It's rubbish, because when you look at it, he couldn't celebrate. He stopped. He didn't even celebrate. He pointed across the lines when he said it's going to be given as offside. He knew straight away, but it ruins it for the players not being able to celebrate until, well, if it's given, it's 4 minutes after he scored, he can then celebrate.
Aye. And before we get to that, man, I just loved that interview, man. See that wee smirk? He's a bit of a cheeky wee chappy, this man, isn't he? And he's getting all this, man. Oh, they'll come now and all this, and just flying. Again, I was sad, man, when he gets subbed. It was a rank sub. Do you know what I mean? But again, it was nice to hear the way he spoke, and he was kind of buzzing. And then when he said about the freedom, you saw Raskin smile and nod. So there must be a bit of belief this boy Danny Rohl's putting in them. There's just something about this fella. Do you know what I mean? I'm not saying he's a world beater yet or anything like that. I'm just saying there's something about him. But as far as Geordie's comment goes, 100%, man. How many podcasts have we all shared where we say this VAR is absolutely stinking? It's getting beyond a joke, man. I mean, see when you're wee boys, right, and you're out playing in the street and all that, and you play against the next street or whatever, and you score a goal, and all, you see the joy and just the aspiration, you're running about. That's what football's about. It's the end product. It's what comes out of it. And it's kind of stole it from the country and the league. It's just kind of stole it. Listen, there is decisions that you'll need, right? I'm not saying it's all wrong. I just think the way it's being run is completely wrong. Rugby's a much more fast-paced game because you're poleaxing people, and it's twice as fast with our VR than football. I just can't get my head around it. So it's very, very, very annoying, because even as supporters, right, you're sitting watching the game, and if a goal goes in, you're watching them run away a wee bit and celebrating, but really inside you're sitting thinking, right, let's see what happens here. Is that okay? Is he given this goal? You can't enjoy it. You can't. You're living that anticipation and that anxiety of the players, aren't you? You know they've scored, and you know they're thinking, right, I'll go and run a wee celebration, but they're always looking about to the ref or the linesman, or it's pathetic. It's absolutely pathetic, mate. You're right, absolutely bang on.
We were talking about it on the watch along, Kenny. I want to get your opinion on this. So obviously, we're all talking about the fact that VAR chopped off the third goal that Mikey Moore scored. But for me, it took 4 minutes to decide it. Then they've said that Dio has been in the way of the goalkeeper's eye line, and that's what's caused the goal to not be given. But for Matthew McDermott to have to go to the monitor, look at it, still didn't know, and then say, nah, it's not. Surely that's not a clear and obvious error. And he should be going with his initial decision, because his initial decision was it's a goal. And then he took 4 minutes of VAR going round and round. Then he looked at so many angles and went, nah, it's actually a offside because Dio's in it. He doesn't touch the ball. McCracken's got a decent look at it because he's standing to the side of Diamandi, and then he dives and gets a save on it. So where's the obstruction from Diamandi that he actually stops him getting towards it?
Comments are going to hate me. Going to hate me in a minute. So for the side-on view where it looks as if he's running away from play, right? I was like, aye, come on, man, that's a goal all day long. Unfortunately for us, when the ball goes through and the camera angle comes from the back of the players and you see it getting placed into Diamandi, it's going straight for Diamandi, right? And he opens his legs. So it's a dummy. So it's unfortunately, it kind of is. I don't mean to get people pissed off, but I says to my son, I says, this is 50-50 for me. This could be given or no, and I could understand if it isn't. If you're looking through the blue glasses, you're going to go, come on, man. He was a wee bit more to the left, and the keeper was to the right, and you could see the initial shot. I get that, but that ball was bouncing right after Diamandi's legs. He would have touched that. It was that close to him. And that's the rules. That's the rules. Unfortunately, if he's interfering with the play, and the ball was coming to hit his legs, and he opened his legs up and dummied it. And unfortunately, that's just the way it is, man. I did say at the time to my boy, listen, this is either going to go for us or against us. It's completely 50-50, unfortunately.
I mean, it went against us, and we have to obviously just go that it didn't work. But the good thing was, though, when that goal then was disallowed, Kenny, the team didn't stop. They kept going in that first half, and they showed that there was a lot more to give. We had a few more chances from that. But it just looks like right now there's a massive issue with Miovski and Danilo. They didn't really seem to be in the game, but I thought they didn't even get a lot of time. They were they're whipped off at half time. And I just think Danny Rohl doesn't really know who he wants to be up front for him right now, because he's swapping these three about all over the shop. That they're getting took off, they're getting started. I don't know who is going to be like our number one striker, because right now we don't have one.
I'm confused with the striker thing, man. I think they all blow hot and cold, Alex, don't they? I think they all kind of blow hot and cold. I don't really see the guy that says, listen, you start me all the time. Miofsky's no the player that was at Aberdeen, unfortunately. I don't kind of see where I hope it clicks. I hope something happens, because for God's sake, we've not got anybody really that you can count on one chance, one goal. I think it's fair to say, innit? I think there's a couple of chances we've had where it's been flustered all the time, and I think there's panic in it. It's unfortunate that it's fortunate that we're getting the goals scored by different players, but it's unfortunate that your number 9s aren't scoring a lot. They are pitching in, Danilo's pitching in and stuff like that. But it'd be interesting if we could maybe do a bit of dealings in January. I know they're looking at a lot of defenders and defensive midfielders and stuff like that, but they really need to look at a fox in the box for me, Alex, I think.
I mean, we're creating so many opportunities that we're still not getting to see that person up front. So it's going to be interesting to see, especially January, how we actually go. But we're talking about the man. So let's see what Danny Rohl had to say after the game that finished 3-0.
Danny, well done. What's your assessment on today's game?
Yeah, at first, I think a clean sheet, 3 goals scored away, it's always good. I think, second half, sometimes we lost a little bit of control. This is what I want to see in the future, that we control these games then more. But all in all, I think the last 3 performances, especially in the league, is good. Yeah, we scored 7 goals, had 2 times a clean sheet away. I think this is a good direction. We spoke about the small steps. I think in the league we make the good steps forward. And now it's about recover, take the first 6 games together, look back. Yeah, I will do this now in the next international break, and then of course I see a lot of things what goes in the right direction. I see a lot of things what we have to improve. I like to see that individual players growing up and more, and yeah, all in all we should be happy at the moment.
Does that include Mikey Moore in terms of his contribution today?
Yeah, for example, I think Mikey again, he showed his quality on the ball. He is always playable, a lot of good movements. I think this is great. I was really happy with the 3-0 today, because we spoke about overlap runs, and Jaden, in the last minute he made exactly this run for the teammate. It was the reason why Gus is free and can finish this action. These are the small things. This is what we need more, and we will work on this.
In terms of the first half and going 2-0 up, that hasn't happened often enough probably for Rangers this season. Did that show good purpose, and were you pleased with that?
Yeah, I think 2-0 is always a little bit dangerous. I said to the guys in the halftime, to my players, we have to go on the third goal. Yeah, I want to see that we attack more. It was then not always possible. I think for me it was also important to bring fresh legs in the second half straight to the halftime. But I'm very happy. A big thank you to the supporters, to my staff around me, because when you arrive, then you never know what happens. But it was a great welcome, and I think this should be our direction, togetherness.
It was quite bold making a triple change at half-time. You said more legs, but was there any other reasons?
No, it was for me fresh and energy. I think this is job sharing. My team will learn this. Yeah, this is for me really about that I will use my subs, I will use my squad. And this is also good for the players, because then they know, even they are not the starter, they have always a chance to get minimum 45 minutes. And all in all, yeah, I'm happy. Yeah, now we can go home. I can recover as well a little bit after a busy schedule. But I must say I enjoyed the first 3 weeks. I think I see how big this club is, which potential we have, and from this point we carry on.
You mentioned things that you want to improve, i.e. second half, losing a bit of the control of the game. What was the reason for that, and what more can you do to make sure you do have more control?
Yeah, I think in both directions. In our pressing, sometimes we are running a little bit too often sidewards instead of forward and frontward defending. This is what we have to improve. I think then also to understand that we create small triangles to keep the ball, let them run, and then changing the speed again. I think this is a big topic what we need in the future. Yeah, that we have not just ball possession to keep the ball, then in the right moment to speed up the game. And if we bring this more and more, today I saw more moments where we have up back through moments to speed up, and these are things what we need more.
Just finally, I know you said you can have a break now and look back on what a whirlwind time it has been already. Do you now have an idea of who you want to be in this team? You said you were going to make an assessment on players in the first 3 weeks and how you take things forward.
Yeah, I think I said yesterday together with my coaches. We put a lot of things together, details about the players. We spoke about weaknesses, but a lot of potential things. We look about strength, and then of course it's also about the players have to deliver. I think this is also crucial. They know this. They want to show. I think I see all the players try. This is at first the basics that they put a lot of effort in, and then we have to be smart in the next steps. But this is not today a topic.
Well done. Enjoy the break.
Thank you so much.
Obviously, a very good interview there from Danny Rohl, talking about they enjoyed the win. Obviously, very backing of his half-time subs there, Kenny. He seems to be that he wants players to come on and be able to run and control the game and be able to keep the same tempo, same momentum. We didn't really see that. Is that going to be a bit of an issue for Danny Rohl? He's obviously got a couple of weeks to work on that, but do you think that's going to be an issue for him, that some of the subs are just not coming on and performing the way they want to be for him? Kenny's on mute already.
It wasn't me that muted it. It was you.
That was Martin. Martin in the background. Wasn't me, mate. He tried it with me too.
He's that rough, man. He's just cracking buttons, isn't he? Oh. You picked up exactly the same as me. I think that's a very, very dangerous thing. I think it's great because he's a new coach and he's trying to find these players a bit of enthusiasm, and I think he's trying to give them a wee bit more excitement into their football, thinking you've got a chance. Is there a Thelwell in there? Because he's trying to get every player on, including Chermiti. I don't know, but there was something that clicked in my head when he says, listen, at least the players know they're going to get kind of at least 45 minutes. I was like, really? He says, I think you should have went with the same team for 10 minutes in the second half and get a third goal quickly and then bring the other players on, because they're still getting... I think substitutes, if you go 20 minutes or even half an hour, that's enough just to see what you're getting out of them. I think it's really, really important if you're on an upward... you're doing an upward trajectory and you're doing well and you're battering the team and you're getting chances and you're scoring goals. Is that really the right time to change it? Who am I? But I think it would have been prudent to give them an extra 10, 15 minutes in the second half of the same team that battered the life out of them, and maybe go for a 3 or 4. The Rangers fans are like, wow, what a performance. This is something we're seeing. Now listen, I sound like a negative B, right? It's another one. We're grinding them out. We love that. I mean, league-winning teams grind results out. We're winning again. We wouldn't have said that months ago. He's getting better out of the players than anybody else did. He's starting to show you that he's got a brain in his head. I think the little half-time substitute thing, maybe because he's still looking into his players. I think the question was very clever for the person interviewing him, who then said, you said you were going to be assessing the players. You were going to get some... obviously look into them and individually and see where you are in January. So that's really clever, because he's obviously listened really intently, and what he's done is he's dissected what Danny said and basically was saying is that why you're doing the half-time substitutions? You're still assessing. So I'm very, very happy the fact that we're still winning, we're keeping winning, because listen, look at the Russell Martin scenario. We're already a million miles for that. And now we're starting to talk more positively, like, can we get better? Can we get better? Because I think as fans, we're positive. I think we're thinking there might be a little kick on here, and this guy might have something about him. So I'm glad you picked up on that, Alex, definitely.
William, welcome to the show, mate. Good to see you coming back in.
I was sitting eating my dinner when Martin annoyed me. I was literally sitting eating my dinner. He's unbelievable. Just because he's hungover, he's trying to punish the rest of it.
He's ill, and yet he's pulling us all in. Well, just quickly, what's your reaction to that game then, mate?
I think first and foremost, just happy we won. I think is the first kind of reaction. Well, let's be honest about it. If somebody said it was going to be 3-0 before the game, we would have probably all snatched their hands off them, because we haven't looked a particularly great team at times this year. For me today, we showed wee glimpses of quality, which I don't think we have done at times. But let's be honest with it, it's back-to-back away wins, back-to-back clean sheets away from home. Under Russell Martin, we really didn't look like we were getting close to that. We really didn't look like we could keep clean sheets. We created very little. And I think, to be fair to the manager, he said a game every 3 or 4 days since he took the job. So maybe this wee break will help him and the players to kind of look at what they can do to improve upon kind of on and off the ball, because clearly there is still quite a bit of work to be done.
There's one factor we need to talk about, guys, and it's in the comments. It's rife now. Lyle Cameron, what's going on there? I mean, yes, he doesn't get on because Cornelius is injured, and we have to make that quick sub to get Giga on instead. But for me, Lyle Cameron has been one of those players that should have been getting on, and I agree with Shona here. How does he get on? How does Asgard get on before Bayrami or Cameron? I think Lyle Cameron should have definitely been on today, if not from the start as a sub. But Kenny, he just looks like he's never going to get that chance to get back out, does he?
No, I'll apologise again if my internet starts going because it's glitching slightly. I feel sorry for Cameron because I'll watch a lot of the training videos on YouTube as much as I can get, and he's a great wee player. He's so balanced, and things like that. And I don't know what's going on. I don't know whether or no. I mean, Danny Rohl probably have some sort of thought in his mind what he's what to do with him, and maybe he's got this thing. He's one for the long term, or I don't know. I understand why he stood up and there was something in Danny's head and he got him to come on, and then obviously with Cornelius going down, it was tactical, right? And I think he got that, but the poor boy looked flatlined. He was already putting up with some crap standing at the side of the park with the booze, and then he had to go and sit back down, which would have been not good for his confidence, but that is what it is. It was an injury, but Amy flies in and out of games. I honestly think there's potential in it, Asgard. I do. I just don't know. Maybe if he's taking a wee bit of time to get into the run of things in Scottish football, I don't know. But I would always have tried Cameron. I think Cameron's a Scottish gem, and Rangers and Celtic are poor at misjudging how much potential there is until they end up leaving and going to England, or going to Germany, or going to Italy, whatever.
I mean, well, it's just not good for his confidence. I mean, it can't be helped with an injury to Cornelius, but there's players there that are getting on the pitch instead of Lyle Cameron. I mean, Ant-Man came on and actually did look like he had an impact, but Asgard didn't really do anything in the game. He had a few pot shots, but there was nothing that actually meant he should have got on. Obviously, didn't have a great time last weekend, getting sent straight off, but I just think for Lyle Cameron, he needs to get game time, or he's probably going to be wanting to get a move away, either to get a loan or a permanent away if he's not being used, because right now his career's very much suffering at the fact he's not even been getting game time at Rangers.
Yeah, look, he's obviously just come back from an injury as well, which probably hasn't helped him. Maybe he's not had as much training time under the manager. I would imagine during this break they'll probably try and play at least one bounce game for some of the players that maybe haven't had enough minutes, guys like Fernandez, Cameron, Enciala. There's probably several others. I think the big thing for Lyle is we all know what he brings to the table. He's got great energy. He'll go up and down the pitch. He's obviously shown that he's a goal threat. He's somebody that has very good numbers in the Scottish League. So I would imagine it's probably one of those ones where, let's give the guy a wee bit of time to look at him. As I say, I do think they will look at doing a bounce game, and maybe after that we might see a little bit more of him after the international break.
I will say before we go on, massive £10 super chat from Andrew. Andrew, thank you very much for that. Everybody on YouTube will see that super sticker right now. But as always, Andrew, your contributions are very much appreciated. So thank you very much for that, mate. One person, though, William, that is going to be happy that Lyle Cameron didn't get on will be the man he was going to be sub for in Gassama. Didn't really have a great game in the second half, but does what Gassama does, gets the ball out wide, cuts in, and just a fantastic goal into the back of the net. McCracken didn't even move for it, but it was just a great strike from Gassama to seal the 3 points for Rangers.
Yeah, look, I mean, it's a moment of quality, isn't it? And it's something that he's obviously done several times previously for us since coming in the summer. It's interesting because Gassama, I actually don't know what side he's best playing at as a winger. I don't know if he's better maybe coming off the other side and trying to check inside more, or if he's better on that side where he can get down to the byline. It'll be interesting. I do think we'll see a slightly different Rangers team after this international break once the manager gets a wee chance to work with some of these guys. Because obviously, not everybody's going to be away on the international break. So I would like to think the more time that he gets to work with the players that are left behind, it will certainly be beneficial for them. And I think what you would have to say is we would still like to see more for Gassama. I would like to see him maybe be a little bit more direct at times, maybe be a little bit more of a threat. But yeah, again, maybe we're just going to see these things gradually, the longer that Danny Rohl's here. But I think the one thing I do have to say is we do look a better team since he's come in. I don't think anybody can deny that. We look as though we've got a bit more structure. We certainly look like we've got a chance of actually scoring a goal, which wasn't necessarily the case under Russell Martin. But yeah, I was just happy we got the 3 points today. To me, that was the biggest thing, in all honesty, and to keep the clean sheets, just an added bonus.
I mean, definitely as an added bonus. A lot of people were saying that we've not looked the greatest. Well, that's 3 wins out of 3 in the league under Danny Rohl. Kenny's saying he obviously is going to get a break now, but I don't think he's going to take much of a break. He's going to be assessing the players like mad over the next 10 days while we're somewhere away in an international break, trying to figure, as Willie says, the start 11. But when we come back after the international break, do you agree with Willie that we might see a different starting 11 or a different team, a different fight?
Yeah, every time. I mean, I'm happy for these players to find this philosophy and get used to it when we're keeping winning. And I think that Russell Martin would have got a hell of a lot more time if, when he was trying to put his things across, we were winning while we're doing it. And that's a sign of a good coach. He's come in very, very quickly, managed to get his winning, and our team is nowhere near a finished article because he's trying to put that little spin on it. I think he talks very well. I think it's pretty simple what he puts across. He seems like quite a likeable guy, which is good when you're trying to deal with different mentalities in the dressing room. I honestly do think that it's going to take a little bit of time for us to get to where we need to be. I think January's going to help us. They'll not go crazy in January, but a few going out and a few going in. I think maybe 3. But I do think he's got the nucleus of a good team there. It's unfortunate for the Scottish players at the club at the minute. It's really annoying me because I know for a fact that Curtis would give you his left arm to and every time I've seen him, he comes on. We can say it's in training or whatever, but Rohl just might have the way that he wants to play, and unfortunately, they maybe play a different way, and that's just football. Unfortunately, but I don't understand the Lyle Cameron one because he is very, very technically gifted. But let's just see after the break what he does, because every week we're winning. I know in Europe we're maybe no, but in the league we're starting to get points on the board. We're winning. We're getting clean sheets. I think that Gassama's second half is in conjunction with the substitutions because he was getting a hell of a lot more freedom and things like that when there was more creative players and passes coming through. And it's no coincidence that he went a bit flat when they all went off, like Alex we were talking about before Willie come on. So I'm hoping after this little break you start seeing it clicking, because it is clicking. You can see it's different. Willie's bang on, man. You see it's a different team. You can start to see it's starting to motor, and if we're letting players learn, but you're winning, then that's a good learning process for me.
No, I definitely think it's a good learning process that we're letting them get into it. The big issue, and I hope that it's, I said it during the watch long, I hope it's only contact, but I hope Cornelius' injury is just a contact injury. It's nothing to worry about, because that's 2 games now where Cornelius has gone off injured, and I just hope that it's not something that's going to niggle and keep him off, because we didn't look that confident at the back when Giga came on, and I know it was only like 10 minutes, but there was a few times when he was just rushing a pass away to get it to Magoma or get it to Suter, and we just look so much more comfortable at the back having Cornelius in there. I just hope that it's not going to be a case that we're having to rotate that defence to find who's going to work best in that back line again, because we said at the start of the show, myself and Kenny, we were better with that back 4 rather than the back 3, but it's because Cornelius is in there.
Yeah, I think it's trying to strike that balance, mate, isn't it? I mean, like the manager's shown already, he's not scared to change it. We've had back 5s, we've had, the back 4, he's tweaked the midfield shape a couple of times. We've had 1 man up top, we've had 2 men up top, we've had 1 off the striker. And I think he's almost like kind of testing things to see how it's all going to work. And I think this is, without kind of repeating what we've already said, that I think during this international break, we will look at, what is the best position for certain players? How do we get the best out of Asgard? How do we get the best out of Mikey Moore? How do we get the best out of Gassama, out of Antman? Because the manager's not really the time to look at this, has he? He's almost had to get into games every 3 or 4 days. There's probably very little training time. And then, obviously, during that, you're still trying to win games of football, which is the expectation at Rangers. So it's trying to strike that balance where he's trying to win games, trying to get back into a winning league position, which is what we've managed to do with the 3 league wins. Obviously, the cup semi-finals disappointing. Some big decisions go against us in that game. Against Roma, we were punished for making mistakes, but we did have chances. And it's trying to find that balance for the manager now. And I do think we need to see more out of certain players. I still think that's something the manager will be frustrated with. Because, as I said to other guys that sit next to me at the football, I really think that Asgard's got some quality. But it's trying to find that kind of, like that position, that shape that's going to give him that freedom. Because we're seeing it from Mikey Moore now. I think the last 3 or 4 games he's been excellent. Whether he's come off the bench or he started, he's really impacting games. And today's finish was lovely. He's gave the goalkeeper the eyes like he's going to go across, and then he obviously hits it into that near post. And yet again, he's the one that's sparking things in the game as well. So, yeah, look, I think it's good to see Mikey doing well, but I would like to see more for Asgard and from a few others. But maybe we'll get that, obviously, once this international break's past.
One player, Kenny, that I want to see a bit more from. He started the show, but he didn't get the start today. He came off the bench. Was Connor Barron, and what was saying that he should take more corners if Tav would let him. Need as many set piece takers as possible. Help speed up the play. There was a few instances today where even Nico Raskin was shouting at Tav to get him over to take the free kicks. I thought it was a bit of a strange move, but Connor Barron has showed he's got a fair delivery on him when it comes to putting that cross in. I think that he shows that there's a player in there, and he came on for Diamande because, again, he just looked all over the place. But Connor Barron just seems to show up that midfield and look a lot more confident.
Aye. I think we didn't see it as consistently under Martin, but I think you will under Rohl. I think he's got a good mentor, if that makes sense, and maybe somebody that gets him. I think Willie's bang on with the balance because that brings out your creative players, and sometimes you're always asking for more out of players, but when you get the right manager putting the right tactics together, you start to see things you didn't. Mikey Moore. I think Agard could be, as a guy just put a comment there about the guy that scored the second goal for Arsenal, Trossard. He says that Agard's got that in him. We need to take more shots outside the box because Gassama, cut inside, bang, goal. We've got players that can do that. And again, I think it was a bit premature taking Mikey Moore off today. I think if you'd have kept him on, you'd have probably got more, maybe a 3 or a 4. Because he, as Willie says, he's impacting now. You can tell with his interview and he's smirking and he's smiling and he's like, right, this is it now, and I feel as if I'm comfortable finally of what I'm playing and where I'm playing. But I think Connor Barron is the guy where other opposition players do not want to play against him because every time they look round their shoulder, he's niggling at them, he's at them, he's rushing them, he's trying to get them to make mistakes, which can only be good for the rest of the players on the park.
There's an interesting point there, and you brought it up, and I want to obviously go back to that there. You're talking about, obviously, Mikey Moore being took off, and it impacted the game because he was looking so good. But, Wally, there's a bit in an interview that we played from Danny Rohl is talking about that he wanted the subs to be impactful and get into the game. Today wasn't about managing minutes for players, and I think Mikey Moore should have played a lot more. We have got an international break, so Mikey Moore didn't look like he was struggling at any point. Why do you think he was took off? Or was it just about trying to get other players into the team and get them up to fitness? Because he didn't look like he was struggling.
I mean, again, we don't know these things. Maybe, you've got the sports science guys behind the scenes saying, maybe like he's overloaded his minutes and stuff like that. I mean, obviously we're not privy to that information. But I think the thing when you look at somebody like Mikey Moore, he seems to be enjoying himself on the pitch, which he certainly wasn't under Russell Martin because he was kind of trapped on the kind of touchline a lot of the time. I think what we're seeing so far is Rohl has probably been in there and he's simplified things. and he's looked at certain players that will do certain jobs for him. Now, when you look at Connor Barron, he's probably not the most technically gifted footballer, but see when you put him in that midfield, he wins a lot of second balls. He's the sort of guy that will then get the ball into Raskan, into Diamante, into Moore, into Asgard, and these are the type of players you need in your team. Mm-hmm. Maybe at Ibrox, you don't always need that, and maybe you can be a little bit more aggressive. You can maybe have Moore, Asgard, and Raskin in there, where you maybe don't need the sitter. But I have no issue with what the manager's doing. If he feels like maybe some players are overloaded or he's been told that and he's taken them off. But I do agree with what you guys are saying. I mean, if another 15 minutes is that big of a deal, I would say it's probably not. But yet again, as I say, we're not really privy to these things. But I would like to think if that game was still tight, Mikey Moore would have played at least another 25, 30 minutes. Maybe the manager's looked at it and doesn't feel like Dundee are coming back into that game, and he's picked a time to put some players on to give them minutes in the legs. Unfortunately, some of them didn't probably do enough for the manager, which I'm sure he'll be a little bit annoyed about. Mm-hmm. But this is what the manager's probably trying to get across to these players. If we're playing this style and we're trying to kind of play with intensity and push high up the pitch, we need the subs to come on and do the same job.
Well, I don't remember that, mate. See, to back that. Maybe that's what he means. Maybe that's what he's meaning. Saying, listen, I'm giving you your full opportunity to grab this. Mm-hmm. But if you're still not going to show it, then you've got no comeback to me if I say you need to go away in January, because I've gave you the best opportunity I could possibly give by giving you half time. So I think that could be a lot. You could be nailing that there, mate, to be honest.
Hey, look, see, at the end of the day, the manager can only get in there and say to these players, look, this is a fresh start for every single one of you. You know, like, if you want to show, then that's fine. If you don't, then I'm sure the door will be shown in January. And the thing is, not every player's going to work under Danny Rohl. You know, I think it's clear early doors that maybe Biofsky's maybe not going to necessarily work in this system the way the manager's wanting to play. Whereas I think Chermiti overall has did okay. I would like to see him score more goals, clearly. But he seems to do a little bit more for what we're trying to do, like with Danny Rohl. And even Danilo's probably getting involved in the game more than what Miofsky is. And it could just become January that there is 2 or 3 of these guys that were recruited in the summer that might just move on because it's not necessarily working for them, and it might allow the manager to go out and bring in, because I think it's clear we do need another centre-half. I think if the club could probably move Giga back to Wolves in January, they will, because I get the feeling, when you look at some of the players that have even been linked in the last week to 10 days, those 2 or 3 players are big, powerful, physical centre-halves, and maybe that's what the managers said to the board, look, see, in Scotland, we're going to need somebody that's going to win every header and every tackle, and Giga just doesn't look like that kind of player, in all honesty. And you could add in other players, as you know, some of the people are talking about Rothwell there. I obviously touched on Miofsky, maybe Max Aarons as well. Obviously, it's easier said than done, isn't it? Because I'm sure the parent clubs won't really want to take these guys back if they can't get them back out on loan again.
No, exactly. There's a few players there that probably this was the chance to get them on the go, Kenny, and it's not really worked out. But I think there's a point that I feel like I'm being negative in my questions here. We did win the day. This is a third week league win in a row. Clean sheet as well. That some folk were saying that it was a boring second half. Sometimes that's the case though, that we'll have to have those boring second halves because we've not looked comfortable in games under Russell Martin where we might be leading. But this is only the second time since March that we've scored 2 goals in the first half. So we actually have to take a bit of positives that we did go out there and we got the 3 points, 3 goals. Mm-hmm. Yes, we picked up an injury for Cornelius, but we actually didn't look bad at all. We defended well, we attacked well. We're starting to look like a team rather than just individuals.
Mm-hmm. And I think Wally's dropped a little stone in his puddle of wisdom when he said that maybe that was the case, that he knew Dundee wasn't coming back. Alex, you said it as well. I think he thought, listen, there's the statistics for the first half. They're hardly even getting a kick. So we need to try and give the players on the bench the chance to say, listen, I'm going to give all you the opportunity I can possibly get. So he seems like a good man manager as well to all different types of characters. And I'd revert back to the interview from Raskan and Mikey Moore. The smiles, the quirky wee smirks, the little buzz And then the end, the two of them embracing one another and a bit of a, every interview you seem to do, it was Russell. I mean, the only person that came out, as far as I can remember, was Tav to talk. But now you're starting to see more players want to come out and talk to the press and being more visual and having more conversations with the fans and the media. And that only comes from confidence, and they're kind of getting it. I think that's Raskin as well, didn't they? You're getting more freedom because there's a structure in the training that means you can just concentrate on the things on the park rather than the kind of pantomime that was happening from whatever else over analytics and all the pressures coming in. And he said 100%. He says it's just a case of you just go on and do your job. We're trying to just focus on one thing, what he's telling you to do. So I think you're bang on, Willie. I think the fact is the matter is he's going to give everybody the best opportunity he can. He knows there's a transfer window coming, but it's not going to be in detriment to the result. He's going to go for the first half, try and get it finished off or as early as he can, and try and give other players that belief that there's always a place in the squad. Man, that's really good man managing, man. You know what I mean? And then you say that Rothwell might not work, Majowski might not work. You might even say Dio maybe falling out of it. I hope he comes back into it. Things like that. And Danny's saying, listen, go and have a look at it, go and have a run at it. Giga won't work. And then in January, he's saying to the board, I've got a team for you here, but you need to give me 3 or 4 positions. You need to give me Aaron's position, you need to give me Giga's position, you need to give me Rothwell's position. I need a number 10, I need a centre half, I need a help for Magoma. And it's a very, very uplifting thing that you might have a guy here that's actually seeing things very quickly. And it's refreshing. I think a guy put a comment there saying it's heartening, you know what I mean? And it is.
There goes the internet right at the end there. Right as he was finishing his talk, the internet just cut straight.
So the guy that put the comment at the bottom says it was heartening, and I said, it definitely was.
Right as you got there, mate, you cut it. You managed that whole part, and then right at the end, cut straight out. There's a comment here though. It's right from Gallant. Our next 3 games are all at Ibrox. We've got Levy, Braga, and Falkirk in those 3 games. But it's going to be a test for Danny Rohl because we're trucking away from home right now. Braga's going to be no easy fight. But see, Levy and Falkirk have obviously given Rangers tests already this season. So it's going to be interesting to see how we can actually compare to these games. Willie, for me, Braga's obviously going to be a game that we want to win, but Europe's getting to the point where it's now going to be out of contention. But Levy and Falkirk will have to be given everything in all those games if Danny Rohl wants to see these players stay past January.
Yeah, look, I'm sure he'll look at the 2 previous games that we've had. I mean, let's be honest with it, the game against Livingston away from home, we should have scored a lot more that day. Obviously with the goal ruled out, with many other chances, we ended up winning it in the last couple of minutes of the game. Mm-hmm. And the Falkirk game, I mean, what Falkirk did at their game was brilliant. They just kept getting the ball in the box because they knew under Russell Martin we basically didn't cope with that at all. And that's one thing that I'm sure Danny Rohl will pick out of that game. But the big thing for us is probably getting back to what we do well. It's getting to the point where, see if players are getting back to that confident level again, if players are genuinely content with what's going on in the training pitch and also how we're performing, that can only be a good thing. If Mikey Moore's confident, if Raskan's confident, if we're getting more out Gassama, these can only be good things because these are the guys that can open teams up. They're the ones that can create chances, that can score goals. I mean, yet again today, Raskan's header, yes, it's possibly poor defending from Dundee. However, that's what the wee man does when you get a good delivery into the box. He's got a great leap for somebody his size. And as you look at Moore's quality, still got to remember he's only an 18-year-old. Mm-hmm. But he's very confident. You can see that he knows he's good. But it's finding those pockets of space. And yeah, look, I think it's small signs of positivity. But you're right, those 3 home games, it would be great if we could get 3 wins. And you never know, if you can beat Braga, you might only need 1 more win in the remaining couple of games to actually make that playoff round because nobody really seems to be kind of, pushing away points-wise. Is it not 24th? I've still only got 4 points or something like that. So it's not so they're that far away from actually catching them. I mean, I suppose the big problem for us is the goal difference because we've only scored 1 goal. So that might be an issue potentially. But look, all you can do is try and win games build confidence and see where it goes.
No, 100%. Kenny, I'm going to take this comment to you from our very own Brian. He said, it'd be interesting to see how the players and manager react after the international break. After the last one, players were coming back, scoring and playing well, but didn't kick on. It'll be interesting to see how they actually come back, if they can keep the run of form on the go and actually start getting the goals again. Maybe we do see the likes of Miovski come back and actually kick on. Maybe we see Danilo, but it'll be interesting to see for the players that don't go, how they're going to perform under Danny Rohl.
Yeah, definitely. And because I'm getting so much ping about it, right, you couldn't write it out here, mate. I've got 4 houses in my dead end, and every one of them runs at 38 gig, mate. And we've had Virgin guys out and all sorts. That's the all lines in one. Four houses. That's it. The rest of them are all running at bloody 200 and 180. And I'm sitting here as if I've got one of the crank machines trying to make my internet go. Unbelievable, mate. Honestly, you couldn't write it. I'm fucking the dark ages. I promise you, I've got a big LCD screen. I've not got a portable. You know what I mean? It's just a riot. It's a fucking riot, honestly. But I agree with you. Listen, it was very disheartening, right, when you're watching the players go away to international duty the last time, and everybody was scoring and getting man of the matches and all that. And then we're starting to realise that it was not the players, which was refreshing for fans, because you're starting to, because we were kind of trying to work out where we were putting our anger to, weren't we? Is it the players? Is it the managers? Is it the board? You know, is it Donald Trump? We didn't have a clue. and then suddenly they all go away and they start scoring and getting man in the matches, and then we start realising that maybe the tactics, the manager, the philosophy, the vegan sausage rolls, it was all going downhill. And we needed a coach, a technically gifted guy, somebody that... Now, remember the Sheffield Wednesday fans were saying that Gassama never had an end product. He never had he could get by sometimes, but he never had a ball into the box or a final ball or a goal. And it was Danny Rohl that changed that within a couple of months. So I think we give that boy a bit of time as well. So I'm hoping after the international break that they're buzzing for what they're seeing. We're undefeated and all that. But, you know, Jack Butland must be quite chuffed because he's eating clean sheets as well. So fingers crossed they come back and kick on, guys, man. That'd be great.
No, fingers crossed. I mean, we just look like we can start getting there. We have got, obviously, there under Danny Rohl, we've had the 3 wins, but it's going to be a massive test, Wally. But we just need to kick on, as Kenny says, because there's quality in our squad. There's a lot of players that have probably been mistrained, mismanaged, and really struggled under Russell Martin, and now they're having to almost relearn the philosophy, because you could see it from Danny Rohl's interview. He says that it's been a busy 3 weeks, but I've thoroughly enjoyed my time here. I can see the size of the club, how big it is, and I just need to kick on, but I need some fight from my players. So he's right behind it, and he's only been in here a couple of weeks. We just need the players to start doing that as well now.
Yeah, look, I think the one thing you have to say, and just as a human being, like the element of that is, it can't be easy when every time you were playing a game of football, you were getting booed off the pitch. And then if any of these guys are crazy enough to jump onto social media for 2 seconds, basically everybody's telling them they're crap. So, I mean, mentally that can't be good for you. So I'd imagine the one thing that Danny Rohl's trying to do is get in there and kind of build a bit of positivity, build a bit of confidence, which, let's be honest about it, it's not easy given how poor we were playing at that point. We were conceding poor goals. We were sloppy in possession. We weren't creating a lot of chances. We really didn't look like a particularly good team. He's had to come in, almost strip all of that back and say to the players, look, you defend, you move the ball forward, you get the ball in the box and you score goals. I know it's a basic thing to say, right, but we didn't look like we could do any of that under Russell Martin, which is really quite disturbing, really, for any football manager to have that. But I think the one thing the manager's got is he's got a reaction out of the players, which is what we wanted. And there's just those small shoots of promise that are coming out. But at the end of the day, we need to show it consistently, because that's what good Rangers teams do. They win games consistently. And even when it's not always pretty, like it wasn't pretty against Hibs. But I mean, let's be under no doubt, if we'd went to Hibs with Russell Martin, we would not have come away with a 1-0 win, because we would just have given away goals in that game. And today, I never really felt like we were under that much pressure, if I'm honest, at any real time. I thought we defended pretty well. I thought we controlled large periods of the game. Mm-hmm. Obviously, you could talk about the offside goal or however they want to view that goal that was chopped off. But, I mean, if they're going to start using these words that it's down to the decision of VAR or the referee, as long as they're doing it consistently, I have no issue. But the one thing we've seen this year is there's a lack of consistency when it comes to these decisions. And that's the frustration. It's not necessarily that the referee's got that one wrong today. It's the fact that it could happen again in a few weeks' time and VAR doesn't overrule the referee or the linesman and allows the goal to stand. And I think that's where there's a huge amount of frustration with a lot of these decisions. And sadly, we're seeing it kind of more and more with a system that's actually costing teams money to have. And it doesn't actually seem to be improving the quality of decisions that's happening week in, week out.
No, it does not really seem to be improving it at all. But what we're going to do, folks, is we're going to leave it there for tonight. Thank you very much, Willie and Kenny, for joining me tonight. As always, if you want to become a member of the Rabble, you can join up for as little as $1.99 by clicking that button below. Loads more content to come from the Rabble. We do shows at least 3 times a day, most days. So get right involved in that. We will have the phone in tomorrow if Martin's in any fit state to have that in the morning, and then you will have the member showing that the afternoon Rabble as well tomorrow. So go away and actually enjoy the rest of your weekend. The fact that Rangers got a 3-0 win tonight. But Kenny, William, thank you very much, lads. And
cheers, guys.
We'll see you all again very, very soon.